Someone said something about you. Maybe it was unfair. Maybe it was a lie. And now you cannot stop thinking about it. Ask yourself honestly, who is running your life right now, you or the person who spoke? Welcome to the Stoic Compass. I am EPICTETUS, and today I am joined by Carl Jung and LAOZI. Today we are examining, in defending your reputation, what are you actually protecting? Let us start with something basic. Your reputation is not yours. It resides in other people's minds. You do not control it. You never have. So, when you spend your energy defending it, you are spending yourself on something you cannot own. This is not a subtle point. This is arithmetic. What belongs to you is your character, your judgment, your choices. What does not belong to you is what someone else thinks about those things. The moment you confuse these two, you have handed the keys to whoever is doing the thinking.
I would not dismiss it so quickly. There is something more complicated happening when a person rushes to defend their reputation. It is not simply confusion between inner and outer. Often, the ferocity of that defense tells us something important. When a criticism lands and we cannot let it go, it is worth asking why it landed so hard. The psyche does not react with that kind of heat to things that are entirely false. The accusations that wound us most deeply are often the ones that touch something we have not yet acknowledged in ourselves.
You are both describing the same person, and neither of you is wrong about what you see. But I wonder if the more useful question is not what the person is protecting, but what they are afraid would happen if they stopped. Most people have never actually tried not defending themselves. They assume something terrible would follow. They have not checked.
That is an interesting thing to say to someone who is already on fire. You are telling a burning man to wonder about the nature of fire. The practical fact is this. The person defending their reputation is not examining anything. They are reacting. The first discipline is to stop the reaction before it runs its course. You do not get to the interesting questions until you have mastered that one.
But mastery of the reaction is not the same as understanding it. You can train yourself to pause and still have no idea what is driving the impulse. Epictetus, you describe this as arithmetic, as a simple misclassification of what is mine and what is not. But people who know that distinction perfectly well still find themselves unable to hold it in the moment. Why? Because the threat is not to their reputation in the abstract. It is to the image they have constructed of themselves, the persona, if you will, the face we show the world. And when that face is attacked, something older and more frightened than reason responds.
The persona is a real thing. I do not argue with that, but it is a thing that requires constant maintenance. Every day, you wake up and you do the work of being the person other people think you are. When someone challenges that, the exhaustion you feel is not only anger, it is the weight of all that maintenance finally becoming visible to you. Some people, when they feel that weight clearly enough, put it down. Not because they are wise, because they are tired.
Then we agree that the defense is a kind of labor, but you are suggesting people should wait until they collapse under the labor to stop. I am saying examine the labor now. Do not wait for exhaustion to teach you what reason can teach you today. You are working to protect something that was never under your control in the first place. See that clearly, and the labor ends.
It is not that simple. The attachment to the persona is not a logical error you can correct by pointing it out. It is a psychological structure built over a lifetime. The child who was shamed in front of others and learned that their worth depended on how they appeared to those around them, that child does not disappear when the adult reads Marcus Aurelius. They are still there, still operating, still terrified. The defense of reputation is often the defense of that child's original wound, and you cannot argue a wound into healing.
What you are both circling around is that the person does not fully know what they are defending. They say they are defending their good name. But underneath that is something they cannot name clearly. Sometimes it is love they think they lost. Sometimes it is a story they need to be true. Sometimes it is simply fear of becoming nothing in the eyes of others. None of these things can be protected by an argument. The argument is a substitute for looking at the real thing.
Then look at it. That is what I am asking. Not later, not when the wound is old enough to examine safely. Now, when you feel the pull to defend yourself, stop and ask one question. What do I believe will be destroyed if I do not speak? Name it specifically. Not my reputation, not my honor. These are abstractions. What specifically do you believe will be taken from you? I have never met a person who could answer that question precisely who still needed to make the defense.
That is a genuinely useful question, I will give you that. But I want to add something to it. When you name the thing you are afraid of losing, do not stop there. Ask yourself where you first learned that losing it was catastrophic. Because almost always the terror is disproportionate to the actual situation at hand. The colleague who questioned your competence at a meeting should not produce the same internal earthquake as being abandoned by a parent. But for some people it does. And until they see that, the question, what will be destroyed, leads only to more panic, not to clarity.
There is a version of this conversation that could go on indefinitely. Epictetus wants people to examine their judgments now. Jung wants them to trace those judgments back to their origins. Both of those things have value, but neither of them addresses the simpler fact underneath. When you are consumed by what others think of you, you are not present. You are somewhere else entirely, in the past where the accusation happened, or in the future where you imagine the consequences spreading. The life that is actually available to you in this moment is going untouched while you fight a battle in your mind.
Being present is not a soft idea, it is a rigorous one. To be present means to know clearly what is happening and what is yours to act on. The person defending their reputation at 2 in the morning, replaying conversations, rehearsing responses, composing the perfect reply, that person is not present. They are enslaved. And they are enslaved not by the person who criticized them, but by their own judgment that the criticism matters more than their freedom.
I agree that the enslavement is self-imposed, but the question is why the self imposes it. Epictetus, you speak as though the will is sovereign, as though the person who understands the distinction between what is theirs and what is not will simply choose correctly. But the will is not as free as you suggest. It is shaped by what lies beneath it. A man who was told his entire life that he was only as good as how others saw him does not simply decide one day that reputation is not in his control. The unconscious does not receive memos.
You are both assuming the person needs to resolve this in order to live well. What if they do not? What if the opinion simply forms, the criticism lands, the feeling rises, and then it passes, not because the person managed it correctly, but because they did not interfere with it? A wave does not need to be examined or understood to recede. It recedes because that is what waves do. The problem is not the feeling. The problem is the decision to make the feeling a project.
And how does someone stop making it a project? By understanding what is theirs and what is not. That is my answer. The Taoist says do not interfere, and I respect what he means by it. But the person who is already interfering, already deep in the project, already drafting the rebuttal in their head, they need a handhold. Philosophy gives them one, not a beautiful image of a wave. A clear directive, this is not yours to control. Release it.
The handhold is real. But for some people, the directive bounces off because the thing being defended is not the reputation at all. It is the self, the whole constructed self. If others believe the worst about me and I cannot correct them, then perhaps the worst is true. That is the fear, and it is not irrational, not entirely. Because for most of us, the self we know is the self we have assembled from the reflections others gave us. Take away those reflections and the self feels, not figuratively but genuinely, like it might not exist.
Then the real discovery is that the self was never what they thought it was. And that is not a loss, that is a beginning. Most people spend enormous energy maintaining a self that was never entirely real. When something threatens it, the threat is actually doing them a service, though it does not feel that way at all.
A service they refuse to accept. That is the point. They have the choice right in front of them. Let the reputation take the hit. Hold the character. Watch what survives. The thing that survives is the only thing that was ever real anyway. But they choose the defense instead, every time, because the defense feels like action and the release feels like defeat. That is the misidentification I have been naming since the beginning.
And what causes the misidentification? What makes the defense feel necessary in a way that even intelligent people cannot see past? That is what I am asking, not to complicate your framework, but because naming the mechanism is what allows people to actually work with it rather than simply fail at your prescription repeatedly.
You are both looking at the same room from different windows. Epictetus sees the choice that is available. Jung sees the architecture that makes the choice hard. They are not contradictions. The person standing in that room still has to decide what to do. All the understanding in the world does not substitute for the moment of decision, and the decision, when it finally comes, is quieter than either of you are suggesting. It is not a dramatic act of will, and it is not a long process of excavation. It is simply one time not answering back, and then noticing that the world did not end.
That is the closest he has come to agreeing with me.
Do not get comfortable.
I think we are approaching something. The mechanism, the choice, and the moment of practice, perhaps all three are necessary. The understanding that reputation is not yours to control, the awareness of what drives the urge to control it anyway, and the single concrete moment where you do not act on the urge. None of these alone is sufficient.
Then we have more agreement than I expected, but I want to be precise about the order. Understanding without action is entertainment. The action is first. The understanding deepens afterward, not the other way.
The order does not matter as much as you think. What matters is that the moment arrives, and it will, for everyone. The question is only whether they recognize it.
You have heard what is at stake. Now hear what it costs you to miss it. Here is what is actually happening when you defend your reputation. You have decided that another person's opinion of you is more real than your own judgment of yourself. Not in principle, in practice, in the moment. You are handing over the standard. Your character is yours. It is the one thing that belongs entirely to you. What you chose to do, how you treated people, what you held to when it was difficult. No one can take that. No accusation reaches it. No rumor dissolves it. It simply is, or it is not, and you know which. Your reputation is what other people have constructed about you, from whatever they could see, filtered through whatever they already believed, shaped by their own history and fears and moods. You did not build it. You cannot repair it on command. You cannot make it accurate by arguing. Defending it as though it were your property is like fighting over someone else's dream. So when the criticism comes, ask yourself one thing. Not are they right, and not how do I respond? Ask, does my character support me here? If it does, you do not need the defense. The ground holds. If it does not, the defense will not save you anyway. Only a change in behavior does that. Today, try this. The next time you feel the pull to explain yourself, correct a misunderstanding, or reclaim how someone sees you, pause for 10 seconds and ask, what exactly do I believe will be destroyed if I say nothing? Name it precisely. Not my reputation, but the specific thing. You will find that the answer, when you actually look at it, is almost never as catastrophic as the urgency felt. And sometimes you will find that the silence tells you more about yourself than the defense ever would. The person who criticized you will move on. They already have. You are the one still in the room with it. What you call defending your reputation is, most of the time, you defending yourself to yourself. That is worth knowing. Your character does not need a spokesman. Either it is built well enough to stand on its own, or the work is not defending it but improving it. One of those is in your control, only one. If today's conversation has served you, take it further. Pay Attention by C. Trebu, 12 Lessons in the Practice of Seeing Clearly. Available now on Amazon.